Hello and welcome. My name is Adam Flengauer and today we are going to review Cirrus 6000, an OCT from Zeiss. In recent years we also saw a growing trend of making OCT devices more versatile with more functions, like adding fundus cameras, like adding mybography, like putting IOL calculators and axial length measurements. Zeiss followed a different path. They wanted to make their device better by evolution, not by revolution. And today we are going to see whether they succeeded. So please watch with me review of Zeiss Cirrus 6000.
So this is how the Cirrus 6000 looks from the outside. There is no separate computer. There is a screen that can be attached to both sides. It can be taken out from the machine and then put on the left side, on the right side, which is a huge improvement compared to the older model. In the middle we have the chin rest and the lens, and in the back or the front, depending where you have the screen, you have the power on and the USB port. While in the back there is plenty of ports with two Ethernets, several display ports, multiple USB ports. I love small devices like this one, but unfortunately some people hate it because it doesn't have this chin rest, headrest plus joystick. So here the patient is actually moving their head. You have two chin rests and two headrests. You see the color. The problem is that some patients are trying to put their head in the middle, and then they touch the lens with their nose, which makes this the most often clean lens in our office. So I would say at the beginning it takes more time to image patient with this machine, just the position, than compared to a regular design. But the patients who are coming for follow-ups are familiar and they will do it instantly. So then I wouldn't say it's much of a difference, especially since the machine remembers where the position of the fovea was. Another drawback is that some patients tend to hold the frame. They shouldn't do it because it can break, and also there are engines inside the chin rest. So if the patient holds it, they can really damage the piece. If you want to take a scan, this is what you are going to see. So here we have different types of scans, either all scans or grouped scans. So the first option is repeat last visit, which is super useful because if you have a patient you don't remember, you don't need to check what kind of scans he had. You just click repeat last scan and then you get all the scans the patient had. Then you have naturally retina, angio, cornea and glaucoma type of exam, and then the last wellness exam. There is very nice optimize option, and then you basically hit enter or just capture, and this was very fast. This was the 3D macular cube high resolution, which is pretty impressive. Under the infrared image of the eye, you can see the SLO, and look how sharp the SLO image is. It's one of the best SLOs in like non-color fundus SLO machine. And in order to demonstrate how fast this machine is, I want to show you the angiography. This is the mosaic composed of 5 images, and you can actually see that how fast it is, but also that the patient is changing the fixation just minimally, right? There's this green cross is just moving slightly to the left. This is a real patient, diabetic retinopathy, not some healthy student, and you are going to see the results in a minute. Here it is. You can save it or repeat particular scans or all of the scans. The last type of scans I would like to show you are the anterior segment. So there is an option to do the anterior segment without a lens, but unfortunately those scans are limited in length. So this is the angle, only one side. Then you have the raster, so 5 images of 5 lines, but only exactly 3 millimeters. And then you also have the equivalent of like the 3D or cube retina. So this is the anterior segment cube. All are fast, but naturally quite limiting. If you add the cornea lens, then you can make much wider scans. Also, then you can make the pachymetry maps. And if you take another lens, you can actually make angle to angle, so the wide field scans as well. After we're finally done with the scanning, let's review the exam. So this is the montage angio that I showed you being done. You see that the scans are really impressive. This is the widest that this machine offers, 5 mosaics. And then you see the quality is really exceptional and amazing. There is also a very nice on-face OCT that you can compare to the angio. And if you wish to see the single image instead of montage, this is basically the standard view. If you have done the regular scans, you can also have the metrics like the FAZ, density, index, and so on. But this is actually 8 millimeters square. Here is the 3D map, the macular cube. We have the SLO with the thickness map. Then we have the 2 B scans in both directions, ETDRS chart, and the ELM RPE visualization of the 3D. We can have both eyes, and we also can have the 3D simulation together with the on-face at the button. Speaking of the on-face, this is certainly a very good demonstration of how on-face should be displayed and how valuable it is. As on the left side we can see the on-face of different layers, and on the right side we can see the B-scan. We can also adjust the layers if we wish for some customized detailed view. This whole display option is called guided progression analysis, and it's unique for Zeiss. It offers confidence intervals for the progression up to multiple visits. So here we can see 7 visits, and then we see both the color-coded map and the on-face with the GCL-IPL complex. This is not the case for the macular thickness, because when it comes to macular thickness you can only see 2 visits, and you can customize the date of the visit. So it could be the first and the last, or the first and the former. And this is a nice example of the difference between the Cirrus 5000 on the left and Cirrus 6000 on the right. There's also a way to analyze RPE differences between 2 visits, or we can also display the RPE thickness and RPE change analysis between various visits. If we come back to the SLO picture, we can change the SLO to have this fiery pseudo color. So then it's the red pseudo color, and we can adjust the overlay thickness map. Let's quickly look at the optic nerve head parameters. Here again we have the SLO, the color map, B scans, and the SLO without any colors. Plus we have the ISNT wheels with graphical displays and all the optic nerve head parameters. We can have one eye or both eyes on the same side. Then we have the PANOP map, which combines the parameters from the optic nerve head with the macular GCL parameters. So here we have the GCL thickness plus the combined SLO. Again, this can also be displayed with both eyes on the same screen. So what's great about this machine? I would start by saying OCT angiography. It's certainly top of the class, among the best machines. Secondly, I would say SLO, because it's extremely sharp and detailed, and it can replace fundus camera in some cases. And closely associated with the SLO is auto tracking, the eye tracking, especially useful with the OCT angiography, and this is part of the reason why OCT angiography here is so powerful and so robust, is because the SLO is exceptional. Another wonderful feature is the on-face OCT, so the OCT-C. Here it's basically like viewing the fundus photo, right, but made of the slabs from the OCT. So this is really, really useful if you don't have a fundus camera in your machine. There's a new feature called wellness exam. This is basically like the optic nerve head and the glaucoma plus some parameters. I don't think it's necessary, but it is. Somebody might like it. There is nothing really wrong about the glaucoma, thanks also to the SLO. There's hardly any chances you will need to adjust the optic nerve contours. The B scans look great, but certainly it's very comparable to all the other top OCTs on the market. I would just say that Canon has slightly better B-scan quality and B-scan resolution, but is it clinically significant? I wouldn't really say that. So what's not so great about Zeiss Cirrus 6000? Well, firstly, the progression. So you can see the progression of the optic nerve parameters of the GCL, IPL of multiple visits. But when it comes to macula, you can only see 2 visits, comparison of 2 visits. And this is a huge disappointment because you can say, well, I need multiple visits if I have a patient who is undergoing anti-VEGF. But for this, Zeiss has Retina workspace with Forum. So you need to buy Forum and then you need to buy Retina workspace or Glaucoma workspace if you want to do the same with the optic nerve, RNFL and Humphrey visual field. The point that Zeiss is making is that this machine is not used by a doctor. It's going to be used by a technician and the doctor sits in the office and then they can actually look at the multiple modalities combined with Forum. Forum is great, no doubt about this, but Retina workspace and Forum cost a lot, right? So it's something like Cirrus is not a bargain either, but you still need to add something more in order to gain full functionality of this machine. And this is what I always say to people if people want to buy Zeiss Cirrus. I say, yeah, that's a great machine, that's a great Retina OCT, but you have to be aware that you will need to buy Forum and Retina workspace if you want to really utilize all the possibilities that this machine has. Another disappointment that I have with this machine is the anterior segment. So there is only limited capability of imaging without the lens. Then you need 2 lenses. And when it comes to maps, there's only pachymetry and epiphyseal thickness. So if you remember my previous movie on Revo anterior segment and you compare capabilities of Revo versus the capabilities of Cirrus, it's basically Revo is out of the league for Cirrus. So who is this machine for? I would say firstly, it's for large centers that have plenty of patients and really want to speed up the process. And because they want to speed up the process, they don't want anything like fundus camera inside the machine because they are not going to use it. Fundus camera takes some time to acquire the images, so it will just decrease the time necessary. So large centers. You'll see plenty of shortcuts here. You have shortcuts on anything. And there's also a very interesting one, which is the shift and mouse wheel that offers to center the OCT image while scanning without the need to change the focus. Why am I even telling you that? If you take a lot of scans and you're a technician, you want to have shortcuts because it will really save your time. I hope you already see what was in mind of the designers of Cirrus. So the whole idea is it's going to be used by technician. This is why this machine doesn't have OCT macula progression analysis, right? Because the technician doesn't need to know that. This is an important fact for a doctor. Another thing is that it's super simple. The interface facilitates the acquisition process. And basically that's the whole point of Zeiss, right? That they want multiple machines combined with Forum and then the workspaces. So the doctors can sit in their office without the need to move to the machine. They don't look at the machine, but they have Forum, and Forum combines all the images from different modalities together on one screen. And this idea is not bad because the truth is that Cirrus and Clarus and Forum and Retina workspace, this is probably the best setup that a retina person can get in 2023. It's better than Spectralis or Mirante because of the OCT angiography that's much higher, and also because of the true colors that Clarus offers. But it's more expensive, right? So if you don't have problems with money, just do it. Otherwise, think of something else. Who is this device not meant for? I would say general ophthalmology, right? If you have patients with keratoconus, if you have patients with PCV, if you have patients, if you have kids, and then you need one machine to image all of these, I wouldn't say this is particularly the one that comes to my mind as the first choice. What else? Small practices, right, that have only one imaging technician who's taking the fundus camera and also the OCT, then I would say buy yourself OCT with a fundus camera or OCT with a multimodal imaging platform like Mirante, because then it's a waste of time for a technician to move the patient between devices. In conclusion, Zeiss Cirrus 6000 is a dependable, reliable and efficient retina OCT that doesn't have any other features like fundus camera or anterior topography, but for many users this will be a very good choice.
Thank you very much for watching my review. I hope you've enjoyed. Please subscribe and goodbye.